Hi, I'm Pam, and this is my monthly update video letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of May. Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well and having a good start to your June. Let's start out with some updates, and the only update this time around is a new episode of Point and Drink Adventure. You can go find that on the YouTube channel. Michelle and I had a really good episode last time. We had lots of fun things to talk about. I rant quite a bit about the Star Wars prequels. She rants about Star Trek Picard. I watched a number of 90s thrillers of varying quality, and then we spent a significant amount of time raving about Clair, Obscur Expedition 33. I will be talking about that more later in this video, but Michelle and I talked about it for like a good 20-25 minutes, including getting into our ending choices for a bit of a spoiler conversation. So if that sounds interesting, then you should go check out Point and Drink Adventure. So I'm gonna get right into the games that I've been playing. I've played a number of things in May, finished a number of things, as well as was completely ruthless and retired like a half a dozen games that I just decided I didn't want to spend any more time with. So my Wednesday co-op group is always looking for new 4-person co-op games to play. We ended up finding a bundle of escape room games from the developer OnSkull Games, and we played through a handful of those over the past few weeks. The best one of the bundle is called Escape First Alchemist. This one came out in 2023. We played all of these on Xbox. And this is, your typical escape room. You are various types of alchemists, and you can make different potions by gaining different ingredients, and the potions can help you with the puzzles. And I really liked this game. It was in a big open area, so all your characters had room to rove around and experiment, and you could go off and kind of do your own thing. Like, you weren't always all working on the same puzzle at once. I really liked the alchemy element. Usually every time you solved a big puzzle, you would get a new ingredient, which would open up a new kind of potion that you could make. Like the potion could let you shrink and get you into a room that you weren't able to access before, or it could display like invisible symbols on the walls that would help you. And of all of them, this was definitely my favorite. I thought that the puzzles were very good. The aesthetic was good. It had some great over-the-top voice acting, sort of narrating as you went through it. And yeah, Escape First Alchemist is definitely one I recommend. The other two we played were not as good. We played Curious Cases, which came out in 2019, and the Experiment Escape Room, which came out in 2018. And these are clearly both developed for VR as opposed to standard gaming. So you can tell by the fact that you're just little heads floating around, and you're in very small rooms the whole time. Like, it feels a little bit claustrophobic. Curious Cases was decent. There were sort of 3 scenarios that you went through, so it was a fairly quick game. It seemed like it might have a story to tie it together, but by the end it just kind of goes off the rails. But the puzzles were decent, even if the controls, like the adaptation of the VR controls, wasn't very good. It all felt pretty janky. But the puzzles were decent enough, and we had a good time with it. And then the other one, The Experiment, I didn't really like at all. All the puzzles ended up being you have to find a 4-digit code to put in a keypad, and then it would open a door or a drawer or something. So the puzzles felt very samey, and again, it was very claustrophobic. You're always in these tiny little rooms. We did end up beating it, but I didn't really enjoy that one too much. But yeah, in terms of 4-player online escape room games, Escape First Alchemist is a recommend. Well, I think you could miss the other 2. So Dylan and I have been playing through games streaming on Twitch. We've been trying to tackle our large backlog of Steam games, and one game that we actually finished on stream is called The White Door. This is by Rusty Lake, and it came out in 2020. It's on PC. I've only played one of the Rusty Lake games, I think the first one, and it's sort of also like an escape room game with a bit of a dark edge to it. The White Door, it was fine. You play a man who's in some kind of mental institution. He had broken up with his girlfriend, and now he's having all these strange visions and experiences, and each day you have a sort of list of things to do. You have to go clean yourself up and eat your breakfast and take your meds. And as you go, things kind of get a little weirder and weirder. I found the puzzles were a little light on the puzzles. Like, it was more story than puzzles, I found. And I didn't really relate to the content at all. I thought the game was all right. It was just a really quick one. It took about an hour to beat. But yeah, the White Door, it was fine, but I don't think you'd be missing anything by not playing it. The next game that I played through was Clair, Obscur Expedition 33. This is one that I was looking forward to this year. It is by Sandfall Interactive. It just came out April or May, and I played it on Xbox. And this is an absolutely amazing game. It's basically a JRPG with an active combat system and a really cool story and aesthetic. So Clair Obscur takes place in basically a different version of Paris, kind of a steampunky Paris, and some kind of calamity has happened, and their world, Lumiere, has been sort of broken off from the main continent. And every year, there's a monument across the way, and a number gets painted on it, and everyone who is of that age dies. So as the game starts, the number is 33. So everyone older than 33 gets sort of wiped off the face of the earth in something called the gommage, which is French for erase. So they basically get erased, and every year they have an expedition who goes across to the continent to try to defeat the paintress who's painting this number on the monument in order to stop everyone from dying. And the first thing I really like about this game is that even though it has plenty of dialogue, it does not have very much exposition. Like, you just sort of have to pick up on what is happening. The characters talk like they're people who actually live in this world, and this is just something they have to deal with on a daily basis. They don't talk like they're telling the player what exactly is happening and where they're from and why this is happening and how long it's been happening. It's just very sort of natural, and you pick up on the story and you pick up on the characters and all their situations as they go. So that's something that stands out. And another thing that stands out is the combat system, which is incredibly fun. I have to admit, when I first heard that this was a game with a parry system, I was like, oh god, not another parry system in a game. But it didn't take me too long to really get used to it. I love JRPGs with some kind of active component. Like the Shadow Hearts games are my favorite JRPGs, and they have the Judgment Wheel where you have to time your attacks. And this game basically has the same thing. In fact, it reminds me of Shadow Hearts in a few ways. So you have the active combat where you're attacking, but you can also either dodge or parry enemy attacks. So a lot of it comes down to avoiding taking damage as opposed to taking it and healing yourself up. Although if you're not good at dodging and parrying, you can do that as well. Dodging is fairly easy to pull off. Parrying is definitely a little bit harder, but it's also incredibly powerful and can help you defeat enemies way faster. I played through on normal mode. You can change it to easy, which makes all the windows more forgiving. One thing that I didn't love was that you could turn off the attack timing, but not the parry timing. And the attack timing is actually the most fun one I found. But I found once I got used to it, it wasn't too bad on normal mode. I do like that every enemy is different. Like the first time you fight an enemy, first time I fought an enemy, I would usually get my ass handed to me, but once I could figure out their timing, it got much more rewarding and really fun to play. As your party goes along, and I think you have, by the end, 5 different characters, you can sort of switch them out at will. I'm the kind of person who's always switching characters out. I don't just pick my favorites. I like to give everyone equal playtime. So I got to know them all. It can honestly be a little overwhelming at first because every character has their own completely different mechanic. So one person uses cards to build up debuffs on someone. One can do elemental charges and use them to make attacks more powerful. one is stronger the more damage he takes. Like there's something different for everyone. So every character like takes a little bit to get to know what they're good at and how to play them. In addition, there's things called Pictos, which are basically like equipable abilities you can put on people, and they do all sorts of things. Like they can make you add elements to your attack, add like more hits to your attack, make it so that you can't heal yourself, but you take more or take less damage. Like it's just a wide variety of things. So again, it can be a little overwhelming, just the sheer amount of things. And I think I definitely could have played better. Like there could have been way more synergizing if I really looked into it. But overall, I didn't find that I needed to do that, so I didn't. In addition, the game just looks gorgeous. All of the levels and backgrounds are just very surreal. The enemies are amazing looking. Like some of them are like rocky, like these elemental kind of things. Some of the boss fights in particular are just so gorgeous. Like every time I saw them, every time I saw their attacks, I was just constantly impressed because they just looked so cool. One thing I didn't like, which is probably an unpopular opinion, but I was not a fan of the soundtrack. Classical music with women going, ah, over it is like not my thing. Just like I didn't like the Nier Automata soundtrack or anything about Nier Automata. But yeah, there was like the occasional boss theme that got kind of like funky and dancey, which I was like, oh, okay, I could get on with this. But as soon as vocals started coming into it, just kind of like singing the name of the game, that was not for me. However, that's pretty easy to look past when everything else in the game is so darn good. I loved all the characters between levels. This game is kind of like Final Fantasy X in its structure. Like it's fairly linear, like you're going from place to place. There's some exploration within each zone, and you can, backtrack a little bit if you want to, but you go to a place and then you go and you make camp and you can talk to your companions and build up their relationships. You can level up your characters or give yourself more Lumina slots, level up your weapons. There's tons of different weapons to choose from that all have really interesting effects. This game was just super fun. Again, it reminded me of Shadow Hearts in the fact that everyone had their own ability, whereas in Shadow Heart, it's just sort of your ultimate that it uses a different mechanic. Here, like everyone just had their own mechanic just for basic combat. And yeah, the active combat was just so much fun and so satisfying once I got my head around it. And I love the story, love the characters, loved the ending, even though I feel like I picked the bad ending, but I'm okay with it because I liked the bad ending. So Clair Obscur definitely is like up there on my Game of the Year list. This has been a really good year for games. So yeah, play Clair Obscur if you hadn't yet. Speaking of banger releases from 2025, lately I have been playing a lot of Monster Train 2. It just came out this month. It is by Shiny Shoe. And I played Monster Train 1, and overall, I liked it, like, pretty well. I played it basically until I won a run, and then I kind of fell off it. I didn't really feel the need to play it anymore. Monster Train 2 is so amazing. I can't even tell you how it's different than Monster Train 1, but like this game has its hooks in me. It's so good. This is a a roguelike deck builder. You're basically attacking heaven. You're all of these factions of angels and demons, and you are on a train. The train has a pyre, which is basically its engine, which keeps it going. Demons or enemies come into your train and they're trying to get to the pyre. So your train is 3 levels. You play your cards, like your creature cards. You can put them on one of the 3 levels, and then there's all sorts of like spells and different abilities that you can use, different ways to buff your characters. And the enemies will come in on the first level. They'll do a round of combat. Anyone still living will move up to the second level, do a round of combat eventually. So you want to kill everything before it has a chance to get to your pyre, because it will attack your pyre. Although your pyre can also do some attacks. So it's not like the game is over if they get there. But I've been having so much fun with this. There are 10 different clans of characters that you can use. Each of them has their own different set of abilities and creatures and sort of like theme and how to use them. And every time you pick 2 decks, so you want to pick 2 decks that sort of synergize with each other in order to have a good run. And it's just like so much fun. Like the creativity and how well each deck of cards works is amazing. And then again, combining the 2 decks in one just puts forth all of these options for how you want to play and how you want to build your deck. In between each battle, there is a thing where you can pick one direction or another, and each will have a different set of upgrades. So maybe if you go right, you get to upgrade your spells and maybe pick a new artifact that has just an overarching effect on the game. Or if you go left, maybe you can duplicate one of your cards and get some gold for next time. So each time there's a little bit of choice which way you want to go and what upgrades you want to get. In addition to the main run of the game, where as you beat it, you can open up new heats or covenants to make it harder and harder if you want to go. There is also challenges called dimensional something, and these are like set challenges where there's like a certain kind of either limitations or bonuses, and it picks the 2 decks that you're going to be playing, so that's a little bit more structured. And I actually really like having like a more structured challenge to work at. So yeah, Monster Train 2 is just incredibly fun. I'm still finding new things, still leveling up all my decks. I'm definitely not done with it, even though I'm talking about it. I just feel like I'm ready to talk about it and tell other people to play it. At this point, I would say I like it more than Slay the Spire. Actually like it a lot more than Slay the Spire. So I will still be playing it for the near future, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, if you haven't tried it out yet, definitely check out Monster Train 2. And one other thing I wanted to talk about that is a new release that I don't think I've quite retired it, but it may be, is Doom the Dark Ages. This is by id Software, and it just came out in May. And I'm always so excited for new Doom games, but what I think I want is just more Doom 2016, because with Eternal and now with Dark Ages, I'm like, this isn't what I want from this game. So Doom the Dark Ages takes things into a sort of medieval world. You have a saw shield, so a lot of what you're doing is melee attacks. You still have, you know, the various guns, the super shotgun and the plasma rifle and everything, but a lot of what you're doing is either charging and shield slamming into things or parrying attacks, and I'm just finding it very dull. I've done 5 of the 22 missions, and I still feel like I'm in the tutorial because tutorial pop-ups are still just constantly popping up, and it's very annoying. What I want from Doom is for you to give me guns and I shoot demons and you don't slow me down or stop me. This game kind of feels like whack-a-mole in a sense. Like the parrying is very easy. You wait for something to flash green, you press the parry and you do things. You wait for something to flash purple and you press the melee. And the glory kills, they've like watered them down so much. Like in the Doom 2016, you do a glory kill and you'd like whip out a demon's lungs. Here, 90% of the time, they flash purple, you just like kick them in the chest and they explode into ammo and health, and it's very dull. There's a lot of cutscenes, which are not even remotely interesting. I was excited because they showed you like piloting a big mech and riding a dragon, and those are more boring than just running around with your shotgun and your shield. Like those were actually quite dull. It just seems like it's like I want just like a pure demon killing shooting experience, and it just slows you down so much. It's like play whack-a-mole, hit this when this flashes this color, hit this when this flashes this color. It's like Simon Says kind of. It's also pretty easy so far. I could, of course, up the difficulty, but I don't know. I like to play games on normal, and so far, not great. I'm hoping, because like with Doom Eternal, Doom, yeah. I found the beginning and the end were the weakest and the middle was the best. So I'm hoping as I get into the middle of this, things will kind of pick up a bunch and it'll stop the constant tutorialization, but who knows? I'll probably give it a try for another few missions. But so far I have to say that Doom the Dark Ages is a bit of a disappointment. And now onto all of the games that I have just ruthlessly retired. I don't know what it was this past month, but I was just like, nope, next. First one is the Solitaire Conspiracy. This is like a solitaire game with FMV cutscenes in it. You're some kind of secret agent. Greg Miller comes on and talks to you a bunch, and then you play just kind of like a card matching solitaire game. And overall, I just thought it was pretty dull. The cutscenes are too long and not very interesting, and the card game itself is also just like pretty rote, and I played through a few levels and decided I didn't need to play anymore. The next game I retired is called Shady Part of Me, and I don't know what's wrong with me because in the past 4 or 5 years, all evidence tells me I no longer enjoy cinematic puzzle platformers. Little Nightmares 2, Somerville, that one where you have the little blob creature. All of them that I've tried, I've just gotten bored with, and I just don't think I like those kind of games anymore. Yet, I still will play every one that people put in front of me, which, like, stop. So Shady Part of Me is a game about, I don't know, depression, social anxiety, something. And you play a girl and her shadow, and they talk to each other, and you can flip back between the real girl and the shadow. One of them can only move and platform on other shadows, and one of them can interact with the rest of the world, and you have to switch back and forth and go on together. And I played, I don't know, probably 2 hours of it, not really enjoying it until I finally got up to the point where I was like, okay, I don't need to play this. I don't like this kind of game. I think it's fine. Like, I don't think it's a bad game at all. And I think if you do like these kinds of games, it's probably fun, but just not for me. Another one that Dylan and I tried while we were streaming is called Jars. And this is sort of a tower defense-y kind of game. It honestly reminds me a bit of, not Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Plants vs. Zombies. Oh my god, that took way too long and I had to look it up before I could think of the name. I love Plants vs. Zombies. Jars is kind of like that. You play a little kid, he's in his basement, and each level, it's like a multi-level stage, and there's jars everywhere. And some of the jars will spawn little creatures that work for you, like mosquitoes or beetles or porcupines, and some of the jars will spawn enemies who are trying to go for like the certain item, and if they kill it, the level ends. As you go, you can also spawn different items from jars, like something that'll freeze all your enemies or put a little damage absorption bubble on one of your friendlies, and you just go through it like this. And for the first 2 stages, levels, which were each made up of like probably 15 or 16 actual levels, I had a lot of fun with it. I do really enjoy this kind of tower defense game. Although once I got to the 3rd stage, I found things got incredibly luck-based in a sort of frustrating way. Some levels you have no friendlies to start with. You just have to start breaking jars, and you could break 10 jars and they all are enemies before you get a single one of your creatures to help defend your level, which just became pretty frustrating. So whereas I thought the first few levels of this game were really good, eventually it just got too luck-based and I got frustrated and I put it down. Another one that we tried is called Dead End Job, and this is sort of a roguelite twin stick shooter where you go through various levels just like fighting little monsters, picking up upgrades. And I picked this one because it bills itself as a co-op game, so I thought it would be nice that Dylan and I could actually play something together rather than taking turns. However, this game is co-op like playing a Nintendo game with your little cousin is and giving them a controller that's not even plugged into the system is co-op. It's not good. Like, player 1 basically does everything, and player 2 can kind of float around and just slow enemies down, like shoot glue at them or something. Like, they don't do anything, they can't make any decisions, they can't leave the room. This is just one player with another player who can, like, do very little to help out in any way. It also ran very, very badly, and the sound was just constantly cutting out. So this is a game that we didn't play very much at all. Dead end job. Was not for us. So I also gave a second chance to a game that I had retired before. I'm not sure if I talked about it on the channel before, but it's called Dandara, and this is a Metroidvania from a number of years ago. And it's different because it has a completely different movement system than you would expect. So it's not a platformer per se. You have to sort of launch yourself between surfaces. So you just have to, like, there's no run, there's no jump. It's just like, go where you want, press a button, launch yourself, launch yourself, launch yourself. So it's very sort of like staccato kind of movement. And the first time I played it, I bounced off it almost immediately. Like, within 5 minutes, I was like, nope, this movement is not for me. I don't want to do it. But then I was looking for something to play recently, and I was like, oh, I'll give it another shot. So I ended up playing, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 hours of it. And I did get used to it a little more. It's got really beautiful pixel art. But eventually it did get just a little bit annoying with the staccato movement. Most of the attacks are also like jerky. Like, it's not just like shoot, shoot, shoot. It's like charge up, shoot, shoot. And once it started getting a little bit more difficult, I kind of got frustrated and stopped. One thing I did notice in the settings, though, which I thought was a good idea, is that one of the difficulty settings is that you can just add more checkpoints throughout the game. So rather than like making it easier in other ways, it just gives you more checkpoints, so there's less backtracking, which I thought was a really good idea. But overall, I just thought I had enough of it after 5 hours. I think I was about halfway done. And last but not least, I think I'm done playing Avowed. This is a CRPG it just came out a few months ago. I actually enjoyed this more than I thought I would. I've never really been one for the first-person CRPG. Like, I don't particularly like any of the Elder Scrolls games. So I really thought that I would bounce off this one pretty quickly, when actually I ended up playing, I don't know, I'd say like 15 or 20 hours of it. I do like it that it's in the world of Pillars of Eternity, because I really liked the Pillars of Eternity games. My favorite thing about it was the exploration, which was actually kind of surprising. Like, I thought, usually I think first-person platforming is pretty trash, but exploring and going around the world and finding little secrets and areas and chests and little stories was actually a lot of fun and very satisfying. The other thing I liked was a lot of the writing, especially in your character's dialogue options. I found they were pretty like dryly funny a lot of the time, and I really enjoyed that. Why am I stopping playing it? I think I don't need to play anymore, I guess. Even though it is apparently like short for an RPG, I felt like I was only maybe halfway through, and I wasn't really willing to put in another 15 to 20 hours. So yeah, I liked it way more than I thought I would, but at the same time, I don't need to play anymore. All right, so that's everything that I was playing in May. Leave me a comment, let me know what you've been playing, if you've gotten any interesting pickups or anything you want to share with me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. If you want to see more, go check out my Best Games of 2024 video or another of my videos. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.